Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we will be focusing on the agricultural sector. Now, for the first quarter of 2024, the agricultural exports have increased to reach 2.2 million tons of products being exported. That's amounting to about $1.5 billion, an increase of $300 million compared to the same period. We will be focusing on the agricultural sector tonight, but before we start doing that, let's check out some of the main stories making the news today. And we'll start off with President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, who laid a wreath of flowers on the unknown soldier's tomb today, marking the 42nd anniversary of the Sinai liberation. President el-Sisi was accompanied by Minister of Defense Mohammed Zaki and Army Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Osama Askar. The head of state also laid a wreath of flowers on late President Anwar Sadat's tomb. And Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry condemned today the continued Israeli aggression on Gaza. Now, speaking during a joint press conference with the visiting Irish Foreign Minister Michael Martin in Cairo, Shoukry stressed on the significance of reaching an urgent ceasefire agreement and an end to the suffering of the Palestinian people. The top diplomat said he agrees with Martin on rejecting the forced displacement of the Palestinians in Gaza and the need to allow in humanitarian and food aid to the people in the enclave. He noted that the UNRWA report refutes claims by the Israelis that the agency's employees were involved in the October 7th war. Minister Shoukry stressed that UNRWA must return to work in Gaza and that the decision to cease finances to the agency must be reversed. He confirmed that UNRWA is the only agency capable to distribute aid in Gaza. For his part, the Irish Foreign Minister said the Israelis commit savagery and inhumane practices in Gaza, calling for an immediate ceasefire in the enclave. These were a couple of the main stories making the news today, but now turning our attention to the agricultural sector. Now the agricultural exports have exceeded in the first quarter of 2024 compared to the same period last year. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
According to the Ministry of Agriculture, Egyptian agricultural exports have exceeded 2.2 million tons of products in the first quarter of 2024, amounting to about $1.5 billion, indicating an increase of $300 million over the same period the previous year. Infographic published by the Cabinet Information Center states that this surge comes despite the global and regional conditions affecting supply chains and stopping the export of some agricultural products in order to support the local market. It's worth mentioning that Egypt has commenced the export of potatoes to the Moroccan market as well as strawberries to Canada. These endeavors are part of the Ministry of Agriculture and Land Reclamation's ongoing efforts to broaden the scope of Egyptian agricultural exports. The Ministry of Agriculture recently announced the Moroccan National Office of Food Safety has approved the importation of Egypt's potato crops. Simultaneously, all necessary procedures to facilitate strawberry exports to Canada have been completed, ensuring compliance with the technical requirements set by the Canadian authorities. General Authority for Control of Exports and Imports report issued by the Ministry of Trade and Industry confirms the agricultural exports currently stand as the second largest source of foreign exchange income for Egypt. This underscores the crucial role played by the agricultural sector in driving the country's economic growth and bolstering its international trade.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're joined here tonight in the studio by Engineer Hassan Shabaan, the former Vice Chairman of the Farmers Syndicate. Engineer Shabaan, thank you very much for joining us this evening.
I appreciate it.
Engineer Shabaan, now, when we talk about exceeding the same number of agricultural exports of the first quarter last year, reaching now $1.5 billion, an increase of $300 million. We reached about 2.2 million tons in exports. It's a good, welcomed increase, but is the increase because we produced more agricultural products? Is the increase due to the increase in the value of the dollar compared to the Egyptian pound? How would you explain such an increase?
It's really a combination. Mm-hmm. But I give priority to the exchange rate between the dollar and the pound. The value of the dollar, relatively speaking, is completely different from what it used to be a year ago. So the buyer or the markets find it very attractive to buy Egyptian products. And this applies to all the products that we used to have. Oranges and potatoes, all the famous Egyptian crops that we used to export. There is a big demand right now because of the exchange rate.
Yes.
This is number one. Number two, I think the extra areas that we actually added to the original areas that we used to plant, we have some surplus in these crops. but we need management. It's a question of management. There is no point in exporting onion and the price of onion will go up in the local market. We need to export the surplus. We need to put in mind, yes, we need to saturate our market first and comply with the customers' needs in Egypt. Then the surplus should be exported. Also, there is an element that we should really put into consideration, which is establishing industries that depend on agro products to be produced, like cotton. We used to export cotton.
Yes.
We stopped doing that. Even the local market, the farmers do not grow cotton the way they used to. The areas that used to grow cotton stopped because the factories that actually need the cotton as a raw material have stopped. So it's a vicious circle. We need to have a policy, some management, what to grow, and how are we going to use it? Are we going to allocate some of the crops that we grow for the local market and for the local industry and export the rest? It requires some close look because unless we do that, we will not be able to comply with the European countries' needs, with the African country needs. So we need to have very good numbers for the requirement of our potential clients.
Yes. Well, we will talk more about the management and the logistics of the agricultural industry, but I'm sorry if you mentioned Egyptian cotton. I mean, the Egyptian cotton is known worldwide, and it seems very logical that we should produce more of our Egyptian cotton and industrialize such a product. Why would we stop growing Egyptian cotton, and why would we not work on building or rebuilding the factories, weaving and dealing and processing this cotton?
I think our industry, generally speaking, in the last 2 decades, were exposed to a lot of pressures. And the demand for the Egyptian cotton was reduced tremendously. The type of cotton that we grow in Egypt is a little bit different from the cotton, for instance, that India grows. India grows short fabric cotton, and we grow the long fabrics. So the type of machines, this weaving and spinning techniques and everything, the Indian cotton is dominating now the world of cotton. But we have to put into consideration that we had excellent chances, but we did not really utilize the chances to the benefit of our farmer. For instance, in Libya, many moons ago, the government of Libya, encouraging the cooperation between Egypt and Libya, they established a weaving and spinning factory outside of Tripoli, about maybe 25 kilometers away from Tripoli, in an area called Zanzur on the Mediterranean. And they actually used the machinery and the weaving, spinning machines that are suitable for the Egyptian cotton. And they put into consideration that the raw material will come from Egypt. We never exported 1 ton to this factory. And now it's obsolete. And I think I have some wish because I was a young man when I actually contributed to this factory in building it. And I have information that the Libyan government is fixing to demolish it and you know, just use the land for another purpose. So I hope that we can have a deal with the Libyan government to modernize this weaving and spinning factory and still use the Egyptian cotton and have a plan that this certain area that we're going to grow, all the crop will go to the Egyptian Libyan factory in Libya. We need to utilize, we cannot afford the luxury of wasting chances anymore.
Yes.
We cannot really just sit aside and just watch things happen and you know, condemn circumstances, and this is not acceptable. Considering that we were the #1 country that produces cotton in Africa. We were leading a country in worldwide. Now Burkina Faso is in Africa, is the leading country that produces cotton.
Well, Engineer Shabaan, okay, I want to ask you about something now. According to reports by the Ministry of Trade and Industry, they mentioned that the agricultural sector is, with its exports, is the second largest source of foreign currency. And that's important to increase our exports. And you've mentioned that we should export our surplus, the surplus. So how do we find this sort of balance to be self-sufficient and have and achieve our own food security, and at the same time, so we don't have to export everything and then we're not secure in our food supply and our basic commodities? How do we reach that balance that we export as we can, but at the same time achieve our own food security? Is it so hard to achieve? What is more important? Because it's for the benefit of all to increase your exports, the farmers, the industries, everybody. And at the same time, it is an existential issue to achieve food security.
You see, I think the type of or the method of dealing with the crops in Egypt will have to change. Meaning, I think the cooperative organization that supervises the distribution of fertilizer and seeds and so forth in every village in Egypt should actually change a little bit its role. Meaning, we need a certain amount of a crop, say corn. Okay, today the rule is we give away fertilizer, the ammonia and nitrate, to all the farmers who actually grow whatever the crop is. I should encourage the farmer to grow the crop that I want because I need so many tons of this crop. By giving the fertilizers, subsidized fertilizers to the farmers that will give me the crop that I want to block the gap between export and import. Okay?
Yes.
Corn is one of the things that we export a big amount of corn. While corn is almost a holy crop because this is the only crop that you can grow successively 3 times in 1 year. Between each crop and the other is about 75 days or 90 days. So actually you can successively grow corn and block this huge gap that between our consumption and production. This will encourage the farmers to grow corn. And this applies to all the other crops. Say onion. We need to establish an industry to dry onions and turn it to powder, or dry onions. Garlic, the same thing. These industries have the capability of absorbing the extra crop, or the over the requirement of the local market. Then we go into the how to export to other countries. The Egyptian onion is excellent, really. This is an excellent crop. But again, we need to control the cost. We need to encourage the farmers to grow the crops that we will export, that the crops that we will use in industry, and the same crop that the customers require.
Yes.
So it requires a lot of cooperation between the Ministry of Agriculture and the cooperative system that we have in all the Egyptian villages, training farmers, have more presence in the fields with the farmers, to show them how to resist disease, microbes, and so forth that hit the crops. Agro sector is Egypt, actually.
Yes.
You have about 40 million Egyptians live, under the umbrella of this sector. So we need to just reorganize, because since we believed that the free economy is the name of the game, and we canceled the agro cycle that we used to follow, with the farmers, it became, unfortunately, a big chaos.
Yes. Well, Engineer Shabaan, now, Egypt has always been really an agricultural driven country. Now, with all the agricultural expansions the country has undertaken, be it horizontal expansion, vertical expansion, the new Delta, Upper Egypt, with talking about new technologies in terms of irrigation and cultivation. Now, we should be expanding and developing this agricultural sector very quickly. What is stopping us, or what is slowing us down? Are the new technologies expensive to actually apply? Is it expensive to create new areas outside of the Nile, the banks of the Nile, to actually start cultivating? Are we having less farmers? Because Egypt is well known for its farmers and its a heritage and a tradition passed from one generation to the next. Are we having younger generation now getting away from farming, wanting to pursue different industries and different careers? What are the main obstacles and challenges?
It's all of these questions form the big obstacle against the farmer in Egypt. Let me put it this way. I think we need to have the power of making a decision. For instance, we had a sugar problem just a few months ago.
Yes.
Okay, and the sugar price went up. Okay, though we have a local industry, and we grow sugar cane in Upper Egypt, and we're very successful in doing that, but the local consumption is higher than what we produce. So we need to have an idea to solve this issue, and it is there. And we have researchers, and we have the Desert Agro Organization, which is an organization that follows the Ministry of Agriculture. There is a plant that actually gives us more sugary taste, or 300 times more than the sugar cane, and it does not consume even 1/4 of the water that sugar cane takes. We imported this plant from South from Uruguay, from South America. And apparently this plant loved it in Egypt, and it grew. You know, we enjoy a certain agro area, you know, number 9 and 10 areas geographically are very suitable to grow anything. What controls us is how rich is our soil or the availability of water. So this plant doesn't really require a lot of water, plus it actually, the weather is very suitable. The stevia, the name of this is a lot of the people in Egypt know about this stevia, who suffers from diabetes, and you know they actually use this type of sugar instead of the sugar cane. Stevia is a plant which is 300 times, as I said, sweeter than sugar cane. This means that 1 faddan or 1 acre of stevia equals 300 faddans of sugar cane. So if we grow, say, 100,000 faddans of stevia, you've made it, you've got it done. Providing, a lot of people might say the stevia have an aftertaste. We can use the stevia in soda pop, in industry, canned, whatever, and use the sugar cane sugar in a direct taste, like in tea and coffee or whatever. So we need solutions to solve our problems similar to the stevia. We need to think outside the box. We need to utilize all the chances that we have to increase our income from agro products. I will let you see, you know, on the banks of the High Dam Lake in south of Aswan, there is a big chance to grow man-made meadows and start to create an industry for raising cattle in a different way from what we used to do in the past. The Egyptian farmer used to grow cattle in a different way, just put them in a farmhouse and just feed them, and that's it. I'm talking about open meadows for camels, for cows, and so forth. And the man-made meadow uses 1/4 of the water that regular plants or plantations needs. So we need to just get the researchers out of the drawers and see how can we utilize all these researches to the benefit of our country. Very simple thing, I'm gonna tell you about it. In England, they actually sell mud, dry mud, powdered in sacks, which is the Yorkshire or Berkshire soil. It's a dark soil, not as rich as the soil that we have in the River Nile that comes from the heart of Africa. If we just dredge the lake behind the Aswan Dam and get the mud on the banks and keep it dry and put it in sacks,
we've got an industry there.
Right, we have an industry with that. So actually, we don't have the luxury of just wasting any more chances. We need to be clever and try to solve the problems once and for all, not partially. I think we need to be very determined in doing this.
Well, planning and management and utilizing the opportunities that lay ahead is very critical to the development of the agricultural sector. Let's check out this report regarding Egypt's agricultural development plan, and we'll be right back.
Egypt's agricultural sector stands as a pivotal component within the national framework of the Economic and Social Reform Program's second phase. This phase particularly emphasizes the real economy and structural reforms essential for its foundations. Agriculture plays a vital role in supplying primary and intermediary raw materials necessary for the country's industrial advancement. This perspective is highlighted in the Economic and Social Development Plan for the fiscal year 2023-24, introduced by the Ministry of Planning and approved by both chambers of the Parliament. From a sustainable development standpoint, agriculture holds prominence across three dimensions: economic, social and environmental. Economically, agriculture remains a primary source of employment. Socially, its significance emanates from ensuring food security for the masses. Given its expansive geographical span, it accommodates approximately 55% of the population in rural areas, generating income for families residing in these regions, which in turn aids in alleviating poverty. Environmentally, agricultural development is instrumental in increasing green areas, preserving biodiversity, combating desertification and curbing various forms of pollution, whether terrestrial, aquatic or atmospheric. Development Plan sheds light on the following paramount directives for the agricultural sector: amplifying investments, prioritizing horizontal and vertical expansion programs to meet citizens' needs for essential strategic goods, aiming to elevate self-sufficiency levels, minimize dependency on imports, enhance productivity rates, and increase resource efficiency. Water usage rationalization and continuous efforts on optimizing water utilization by promoting modern field irrigation projects, canal lining, development of water courses and clearing, as well as covering drains. Service sector efficiency, redoubling efforts to enhance the efficiency of service sectors related to agriculture. No doubt the need to enhance the agricultural sector becomes even more urgent given the global challenges the region is facing.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing our discussion with Engineer Shabaan. Sir, now, you told me before we got on air that you were in Ghana recently and you went into the supermarkets and you found actually European products being sold at the groceries in the supermarket. Is kind of ironic, being, I mean, an African state, the African continent is rich with its own natural resources, agricultural products and livestock and everything. Now, we always export mainly our agricultural exports and products to the European continent. Is there a way to reach countries, I mean, the heart of Africa, countries within our own continent that are already being they constitute a market for European countries? I mean, shouldn't we be there as well?
We need to emphasize the fact that we are a major country in Africa. We are Africans, to be honest with you. We have to admit that.
Yes.
Okay? And unless we reconsider how we deal with our neighbors and with the continent, to just, you know, utilize this to the benefit of all the parties, meaning there is a number of countries in Africa that are very rich in natural resources, like Chad, Dahomey, Niger, and you know, all of these closed countries that do not have shores on any sea, not neither the Mediterranean nor the Red Sea, whatever. So we need to consider the fact that if we develop a highway that connects the Red Sea all the way to penetrate these countries, all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, laterally, I think parallel to the equator,
Yes.
I mean, okay, this idea might, you know, our partners in the BRICS might like this idea very much, because we can turn one of the ports on the Red Sea, Qusair, Safaga, Ras Banas, all of these are suitable for this idea. Turn it to a logistic location and pave the road all the way to the heart of Africa. Going through places close to the Kena Valley, the Wainat, the Egyptian Wainat, because Libya have also a Libyan Wainat on the other side, and go all the way, penetrate to the heart of Africa. These countries do not have shores, so they do not have a very rare commodity over there, salt. They do not produce salt and they don't have it. We could, in order for us as Egypt to sell our salt products to these countries, we have to go all the way by shipping it to Mombasa in Kenya, and then by railway all the way to the heart of Africa. And we should actually, this cost us, and it's going to be an expensive commodity. But if we produce the salt in a place close to Safaga and use this highway straight to the heart of Africa. Also, these countries did not develop a refrigeration system where they can store crops and so forth. So you have an excellent chance to grow certain crops in Wainat and Tushka, Kena Valley. All of these crops should be the raw material for industries or canned food that we export to these countries, because they depend very much on canned food, because, as I said, they lack refrigeration systems. We need to observe closely what the markets require, and we should be clever enough to create the market requirements. This is how we increase our exportation to Africa, nor to the Far East. Because actually, we have a lot of very good products actually in industry as well as in agro products. But to penetrate and have the guts, I think we need, some time ago, we had a minister, and I have very high regard for him, Mr. Hassan. He was the Minister of Supplies. And he had the idea of renting land in Canada and grow wheat in Canada to the favor of the Egyptian market. Instead of we just import wheat from Canada or from the US, we grow it over there and we get it. And he was criticized and, mocked, and he was considered that was a joke for a lot of Egyptians. But today, I do not really consider it as a joke. This is not farce. This is a good idea. If actually, because the rent of land is very cheap outside Egypt. I mean, in Africa, the acre is like $3 or $4 a year. And you depend on the rainfall. You don't really require rivers or lakes, whatever, to grow crops. So actually, we are sensitive to the word settlements, because it was used in a bad way in other countries. But if we sent our young people in big masses to the African countries and grow any crops that we want, rent the land and just establish settlements in countries that are rich enough with water and have fertile land. And this is how we just penetrate Africa. We need to mix with the Africans, our brothers in Africa. We helped a lot of countries in Africa to gain independence and fight occupation and so forth, but we stopped after that. We did not develop our relations with the African countries in a way that it should be a win-win situation. A lot of countries require our experience, and we need these countries to complete certain or fill certain gaps in our economy.
Well, talking about other markets, I mean, you've mentioned the BRICS. Shouldn't we start making the most out of our membership within BRICS? I mean, talking about penetrating different markets and having a bigger presence, going to countries like Brazil and to China, and have a real felt presence within these markets.
Yeah, we should. Actually, our dealing with our partners in the BRICS do not exceed $1 billion a year. This is very low number. This is a very small number relative to other countries. We need to convince our partners in BRICS to go with us. They need to be there in Africa. And we're talking about filling certain gaps that certain countries are withdrawing now from Africa, and we could fill these gaps with our friends and partners in these countries with the experience, utilize their raw material to the benefit of the producing country and to the new partners in a fair situation. A lot of African countries require feasibility studies for certain projects. We should establish such a bureau to make the feasibility studies for the African countries.
Yes.
We need not to ignore projects that might seem a little bit absurd or expensive, or because if we hit obstacles every time, we will not accomplish anything. Meaning, in Congo, there is a dam being built on the Congo River. The Congo River was always an attractive issue to the Egyptians, that we might be able to share some of this water and just transfer it to the Victoria Lake, and from Victoria Lake to the Nile course. But there is they're building the Super Inga Dam right now. The amount of electricity that will be produced from the Inga Dam is enough to provide electricity to the whole continent of Africa.
Yes.
And I think Africa do not need that much electricity for the time being. But Europe is banning using some nuclear plants right now, and they're going for clean energy.
Yes.
We need to cooperate with countries like Congo, Central Africa, Libya, in establishing a network that connects with our electrical grid in Egypt, and go through Egypt all the way to Europe and export electricity to Europe.
Yes.
Indeed, we did not really produce it, but we could have 3-4 BIM-BAN projects along the side, and we still can just export electricity to Europe. Agro products is not the only thing that we can export. We can export services, we can export any, we need to be clever and just create money out of the available chances in Egypt.
Yes. Engineer Shabaan, let's bring it back home. Now, we were speaking about encouraging cultivating their lands, encouraging them to cultivate certain products to fill the gaps between our food security, for instance, and our exports. And we also spoke about maybe the temptations farmers would face in terms of renting their lands for other industries or for other factories for a lucrative amount of money, not having to do a lot of effort. Now, the Agricultural Bank of Egypt is one of the biggest banks in the Arab world, and it really worked on encouraging the finances and the investments for farmers, and they offered many loans and services that would encourage or at least balance this sort of temptation that a farmer could be facing. So how integral and how big of a role does the bank play in offering these loans and services for investments? Are they really good, proper loans and proper services to tempt the farmers to actually work within the agricultural industry?
Well, I raised the hat actually for the the farmer bank. Actually, this is an excellent role. It might be a little bit started a little bit late, but it's better late than never actually. So I really salute the bank for that. But the issue is still, how are we going to utilize these loans, which have a very small interest, you know, to encourage people or the farmers to take loans? How to utilize these loans to the benefit of our economy, add something to our economy. Small industries in the countryside, establishing new chances for young people in the countryside to produce things that the market requires. Handicrafts, we need that. Products made out of palm trees. We have a huge amount of palm trees in every village in Egypt. We need to encourage these small industries instead of exporting the bamboo woods from abroad. We need to use what is available. Yes, I really think that the farmer bank is doing an excellent job. It is something new in the market. The young people are exploring this issue, and the bank is actually doing a campaign to market this idea. Hopefully, there will be some cooperation between the bank and the cooperative organizations again in all the villages, because you have about 4,500 branch for the cooperative organization. Train young people in the country side to be trained for harvest, packing. The packing industry is still lagging behind in Egypt. How to pack, how to refrigerate certain crops. All of these ideas are good, and I think the bank will encourage these ideas.
Ladies and gentlemen, as Engineer Shabaan mentioned, it's really a question of planning, management and utilizing these opportunities. Obviously, many people are involved, and many people actually to profit along with the Egyptian economy as a whole from one of the cornerstone sectors of the Egyptian economy, the agricultural sector. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank Engineer Hassan Shabaan, the former Vice Chairman of the Farmers Syndicate. Engineer Shabaan, always a pleasure having you with us on the show.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.